Every volleyball player should know the roll shot, because this type of attack is played by volleyball stars and is very effective in certain situations. That's why in today's video I will show you how to learn a good roll shot, when to play it, where to play it, and how to think about the roll shot. The roll shot is kind of icing on the cake of all volleyball hits in my eyes. It's a technical attack that when executed well is delicious to watch. On the other hand, don't count on being able to just attack roll shot the whole match, because you have to count on the fact that your opponent is going to want to read you, to guess how and where you are going to attack. And one type of hit, whether it's a roll shot or another, won't be enough. In volleyball, on offense, you must always have several types of weapons in your inventory. Be unreadable, unpredictable, and use several types of attacks. What's a roll shot anyway? A roll shot is a technical attack in which you try to hit the ball lightly with your palm so that the ball rotates, flies just over the block and lands just behind the block. If you want to play a good roll shot, you can play it with a steady palm and fingers together. You won't have a feel in your hand. You also can't play it down by your head with your arm bent. Good roll shot technique should look like the classic attack as closely as possible. And most importantly, you need to hit the ball as high as possible, because playing it with arm bend gives extra time for your opponent's defense to defend the ball. You also risk playing the roll shot into the block and being blocked. Therefore, my advice is to play the roll shot as high as possible in maximum jump with your arm as extended as possible. But let's get to the drills and exercises to develop the roll shot. We'll start on the ground. Stand a little bit away from the wall. Throw the ball above you and try to execute a roll shot with your arm outstretched at the top of the bit. Use your wrist and palm to give the ball as much rotation as possible. Rotation is important. You have control in the ball when you spin your attacks. And if you do everything right, the ball will fall quickly from your hand to the ground, in this case to the wall. When training, you can start without throwing the ball at first by just practicing the ball touch and gradually throwing the ball over yourself. Then we move to the net. Stand on the box and the teammate throws or sets the ball over to you so that you can attack it. Just don't hit the ball. You are learning the roll shot. And from every set, make a roll shot. Again, hit the ball as high as you can and try to get the ball over the net just above the imaginary block. Your goal is to get the ball into the 3-meter zone, just behind the net. And speaking of ball impact from the roll shot, I'll give you some advice on where to play the roll shot. If you are facing a single block, I don't really recommend playing a roll shot. Also, most coaches will ask you to hit hard against a single block in this situation and score a point. You are in the best situation against the defense, and 7 out of the 10 of your attacks should end in a point. Therefore, playing roll shot more regularly against single blocker is not a good option. You have one blocking player against you. The middle blocker who isn't jumping on the block has to go under the blocker. And when you make a roll shot, that particular player has a great chance to take your roll shot in the field. On the other hand, if you are attacking a high sets, again a compact double block, you are already in a different situation and the roll shot is a good aid. In these situations, I advise you to direct the roll shot just behind the block, down the line or behind the middle blocker. Definitely don't think about playing a roll shot to the diagonal, because the third blocker, the outside hitter in this case, is not on the block. He's stepping back into the field and he's ready to react and defend a direct attack or a roll shot to the diagonal. And when there is a triple block against you, it's also good to have a roll shot in your weapons arsenal. In the vast majority of cases, you won't be able to hit over the block. The triple block will cover most of the court, and avoiding it means attacking to sharp angles, which is risky. Making a well-executed roll shot can be very beneficial for you. In this situation, I would not recommend playing a roll shot down the line behind the block. This is because in the vast majority of cases, the triple block will block you from the line, and the player in zone 1 will often move a meter or two closer behind the block. A roll shot down the line is close to him in the field, so he can defend it. It's better to play the roll shot behind the block in the 3-meter zone in the middle of the field. Also, you can now play it over the block to the diagonal, because there is no defender there and the zone 5 defender has it pretty far away. Or you can play a fast falling roll shot to the middle of the court, to the square. This space is also good for you if the defense players in the field are standing deep in the court. If, for example, you often play hard attacks on the fingertips of blocking players and the balls bounce far out of the court, the defensive players in the court will be far from the net and you can often succeed with this roll shot and score a point. But let's get back to practicing the roll shot. After we have practiced it on the box, we'll move on to the practicing it over the net. Pitch the ball yourself, hit it high, give the ball as much wrist rotation as possible and try your roll shots once down the line, behind the block, roll shots to the diagonal and also a longer roll shot to the middle of the court. The finale of practicing of roll shot is to create a simulation of real situation where you are facing a block. An ideal tool is a block trainer, for example from Caro Volley. I have set it up to simulate a triple block. Then have your teammate set you high balls closer to the net. Make a classic attack approach, but at the last moment slow your arm down and roll the ball with your wrist just behind the block. To execute this correctly, you must jump at your max. Hit the ball as high as possible to shorten the path of a falling ball and the time the opposing defense has to defend it. Again, try roll shots down the line, just behind the block, roll shots to the diagonal and longer roll shots to the middle of the field. But that's not all. Drills alone are not enough to master an excellent roll shot. I will give you advice on when to play the roll shot, when is the right situation and opportunity to score a point with a roll shot. As I said, you can play the roll shot every time. It cannot be your main type of attack. You can play a roll shot 3 times in a row. You wouldn't score many points. Instead, think of the roll shot as a surprise attack, a surprise that you use at the right time. And that moment can often come in a long release. The ball goes over the net a few times. Both team defenses are working well in the field. But after a ball fly a few times over the net, the players are no longer returning to their ideal defensive position. And that's when you can surprise them with your well-executed roll shot. Roll shots are also good to play if you know that there is a player on the other side who is lazy to move and defend or not very skilled at defending and maybe not good at diving for the ball. Take advantage of this player and direct your roll shots in front of him. As I mentioned, the roll shot to the middle of the field is effective when the defense is deep in the field. Therefore, study the defense and the position of the opposing players in the field. Watch how they defend, and if you feel that they are deep in the court, a roll shot once in a while is a good option. I don't recommend playing many roll shots on a single block. On a double block, you also still have plenty of options and angles where to attack. But on a triple block, the importance of the roll shot should increase in your eyes. I don't advise you to always make a roll shot when a triple block is facing you, but you can certainly play it more often than on a single block. Also consider the roll shot more likely when you have a good high set close to the net. If you have the ball 2 meters from the net, due to the nature of the roll shot, a slow flying ball, you are already less likely to make a point with it when attacking. Although for employing the opponent's defense, it's still a good option. And if you'd like to improve your chances of success when attacking against a single block, check out this video. Either way, learn a good roll shot, incorporate it into your arsenal of volleyball hits. I'll see you in the next video. Bye.